How you doing, everybody? Day 2 here, PASIC 2017, and I'm sitting with the fabulous Bruce Becker, educator, drummer extraordinaire, and you taught some of the greatest players on the planet.
And I juggle, too.
And you juggle, too.
That's right.
And so how's it going?
It's going well. And
thanks so much for having us, coming to our booth.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's nice to talk to you.
It's
Nice
really
to
good.
meet you. You're one of the drummers that I've paid attention to, and I
thank
enjoy
you.
your musical stylings, man.
I appreciate it.
Especially with your band.
I appreciate that very much, saying that. Now, you've had a great career as an educator and a teacher.
Yes, yeah.
You've taught many great drummers, and you're still teaching to this day.
Yes.
What's it like becoming a professional teacher? I mean, going down the education route.
Well,
I've been a player my whole life. I've taught a smattering of students over the years, but I never really focused on that. What got you into that field where you knew you wanted to sort of give back and teach other players?
Well, okay, so before I played drums, I was a technically inclined kid.
Okay.
I watched incessantly baseball and was always looking at how a guy, had his batting stance or what the follow-through of a pitcher had, his approach. As a young skier, same thing. When I hooked up with Freddie Gruber, it was like kismet because I met him in around 77, or the end of 77, early 78, and that was at the height of his teaching. From 78 to 84, there was no better time to hang with Freddie. He was still a pain in the ass. But that being said, he opened up my head to a lot of stuff that was, the kind of stuff that I was looking for at that particular time. In the middle of my studies with Freddie, I started to teach at the Music Stop. Mark Schulman passed me that teaching gig in 1982. So technically, I've been teaching 35 years. I've always run the teaching and playing path, sort of parallel paths. Okay. And, I have a contemporary jazz trio with my brother, David Becker Tribune.
Yeah.
We have 10 CDs out. I've recorded on some record projects with Ron Carter, John Abercrombie, Mike Stern, blah, blah, blah. So I've always been a player.
Right.
Done tons of gigs, but yes, teaching has always been a passion. So these paths have been running parallel, and I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, and probably as my kids were born, I'm a late in the day dad, it sort of focused me and centered me more on teaching. And I do gig, but I just don't gig quite as often as I once did.
Right.
I do an occasional session, but nowhere near what I did before. And teaching has always been a passion, as I tried to teach my young brother how to throw a baseball the correct way. I was there like at 8 years old teaching my 6-year-old brother going like, no, you got to throw it like, and he'd get frustrated and run away.
Right.
So I always kind of had that headspace, and now it is more incumbent than at any point in my life to pass along the information that I got from Freddie, the information I got from Jimmy Chapin, that I've assimilated and put it into a context of as a player and as an experienced teacher, and try to put it into a substance where guys don't have to go way around the bend to get to those bullet points.
Right.
Try to bring a narrative that clears it up and brings about results quickly.
Right.
So as a result, I've been blessed to have guys like Mark Schulman, Daniel Glass, Tristan Bowden, David Garibaldi, Ralph Johnson. If you don't know who Ralph is, he was the original drummer for Earth, Wind, Fire, and he is Fire of Earth, Wind, and Fire because there's only 3 remaining core members.
Very good.
And still, he plays percussion and sings.
Right.
And Burley Drummond from Ambrosia.
Yeah.
Brian Head from Roger Hodgson.
Right.
A bunch of guys. It's just great. And many guys who are just playing gigs and doing their thing, and drum enthusiasts who are looking to up their game. So it's an amazing time, and I really dig what I do. And I have, if you were sitting and watching me teach, I have a huge passion. I'm on fire every time I go to teach.
I've watched a bunch of your YouTube videos and different things over the years. And it's for me, just to relay a story here, I went through a bunch of different was self-taught till I was 18.
Right.
I started when I was early, 5 or so. And then I went to music school. Dave Garibaldi was one of my first drum teachers at Dick Grove School of Music.
Oh, you went to Dick Grove?
I did.
Oh, that's great, man.
And I went through a smattering of drum teachers in L.A. And then I met Roy Burns.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And my whole reason for telling you this story is once you find a teacher that you connect with and just you like hanging with as just human beings, aside from the drumming, it really just makes you want to learn even more.
Oh, yeah,
and that's what Roy was like for me. He was such a cool guy, and what a great player, and taught me so much. But I wanted to soak in all the information because I really enjoyed being there. So
well, as part of the Freddie Gruber original material, Roy Burns' Lou Mallon finger control book was one of the books. And if you look at that book, it's spelled Roy Burns with an E. And I met up with Roy in Frankfurt in 2012, and I pulled him aside. I said, hey, man, I want to ask you a question. Why did they spell your name with an E? Did they spell it wrong? And he said, no, that's how I spell my name. Everybody spelled it wrong. I eventually changed it and dropped the E. And I thought, that's great, man. I mean, he complied to everybody else, you know,
right.
instead of like, hey, no, this is the way I spell it. But that book, I use pieces of it. And I've spoke with Roy a little bit about his teachings or his studies with Henry Adler and Jimmy Chapin. And top-notch guy. I mean,
yeah.
Roy, you know, when I saw him play, I think it was 97 that they did that thing where all the owners came out, Don
yeah.
Lombardi, Roy Burns, Vic Firth, Herb Brockstein, and what was the guy who used to head up Modern Drummer? Can't think of his name. But anyway, they came out and played, and Roy killed them.
Right.
Roy slayed, man. You go like, well, he's a guy who knew what was going on, man.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so talking about gear now, Sweetwater, we're a gear
Yep.
retailer. You play DW drums.
I do.
And tell us the rest of your Vic Firth sticks.
Yeah, I played DW since 1986.
Oh, yeah, and I've seen a bunch of videos on YouTube with you and Don Lombardi
Yep.
hanging out. So.
Yep. And I've Vic Firth since 92.
Okay.
Evans, 2010.
Okay.
And now recently, as of June, Zildjian.
Okay.
And very happy. I met up with Aaron Jackson, the education director, who was introduced to me by Joe Testa. And, you know, honestly, it was kind of like coming home. You know, as a kid, I played Zildjian, and when I went to the factory in June, I was like awestruck walking around that facility, thinking about Buddy was here, and Elvin was here, and Tony was here.
Yeah, so much great music.
Yeah, and so, you know, I'm not a guy that just makes a move to make a move. I did a lot of research and really checked out what was going on because the purity of the instrument. That's why DW, I've been with them for so long. I love everything that I play. And as I moved to Evans, too, I took 3 months before I made that decision. JoJo had become an early Evans guy, and I spoke with him because I met JoJo in 94. I actually consulted him on his bass drum technique in 2004. That's a little-known secret.
Okay.
But, yeah, he basically told me what he was using and gave me a lot of, like, insights as to what he liked. And then I would talk to Marco Ciccoli, and Marco would send me things, and he said, only play it if you love it. Don't play it if you don't love it. If you know Marco Ciccoli.
I know Marco well.
Best
yeah.
Brooklyn Italian accent I could do. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, and I love it. And Beto Bags, if anybody's a Beto guy.
That's cool.
I know Fred Beto for many years, and
That's
Fred's
cool.
a great guy.
And what model of DW are you playing? What
I
kit?
normally have, well, I have an older kit that I teach on that's still probably a Keller Shell series. That's a mini lug series that they don't make, and that is a cool setup. It's a 12 by 22, 8 by 12, 12 by 14. But in general, I play the Jazz series.
Yeah.
I
love that one. I love that.
I have the 20. I have all my toms are Jazz series, but I have 2 bass drums in the same finish that are the XL series.
Okay.
So I have an 18 and a 22, and I'm really just a traditional guy. I went back to like 14 by 22, 14 by 20. Sometimes I'll go sealed head, and sometimes I won't.
Right.
But with the bass drum technique introduced by Freddie and how I've developed through the years, it's off the head. You don't want to bury the beater. And if you do on a bass drum that's got sealed heads, bzz,
it's a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So much great information. I really appreciate you coming by and telling us your story. And can you tell the viewers how they can maybe find your lessons online,
man,
a website, all that kind of info?
So there's a YouTube channel, Bruce Becker, you can subscribe to. I put up a little kitchen series now and again. What else? My Facebook page, there's a Bruce Becker musician page.
Okay.
I just relaunched my brand new website, so check that out. It's I've gotten rave reviews, and my student who lives in Milwaukee is a website builder, and he killed it. It is phenomenal. So check that out. And there's access to my book, Puzzles, Rhymes, and Riddles, which is a odd time phrasing book series I did in 3 parts. And I still have some hard copies of my DVD, Concepts and Philosophies, which are also available on digital download at drumchannel.com.
Okay.
So,
and you teach obviously locally for people in Southern California.
I teach in Southern California. I do Skype lessons.
do
I
Skype
teach guys
lessons.
all over the planet.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you, Nick. I
sharing
appreciate
some time
it, man.
with us,
Thank you.
and wish you all the best for the future. And if you get to Indiana, come on by and say hi at
I'd
Sweetwater.
love to. I've heard nothing less than great reviews about Sweetwater. So it's
Great.
Sweetwater.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.